Now, we've seen many Nintendo antagonists ranging from nefarious to downright petty, but there's a gray area in there where something interesting resides, and that's anti-villains. Hold up, anti-villains? I heard of anti-heroes. What is an anti-villain? And like I said, the world knows heroes, the world knows villains, and the world even knows anti-heroes. And for the last 10 years or so, there's been a revolution of a whole bunch of anti-heroes out there that you probably didn't even realize were anti-heroes. Arthur Morgan, Wolverine, Rick Sanchez. All three of those people have one thing in common, and that's they're flawed protagonists, or with heavy quotation marks, flawed heroes of their stories. So if anti-heroes are heroes with flaws, then anti-villains are villains with morals. And each anti-villain usually has deep internal conflicts to complement their complex backstories. Also, all anti-villains aren't irredeemably evil. Some of them have things to move around and shift around, and may I even say have a character arc. That doesn't always happen, but it can happen. There is an opportunity for it to happen. Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Kyle, I'm the Bread Show, you know what I'm saying? We're here to be talking about Nintendo anti-villains, and I just had to explain a little bit what an anti-villain even was, because sometimes people have never heard of it, and I only started hearing about it in the last couple weeks, months. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the vid. And in a world where Nintendo, who usually likes to make it seem like they make characters with straightforward motives and goals, they usually sneak in an anti-villain or even an anti-hero here and there, and fans usually love them. And no, I won't be mentioning Shadow the Hedgehog, because depending on the story surrounding him, he's either an anti-hero or an anti-villain. I don't know if there's a set story that explains him directly. Also, he's not really Nintendo, and there's plenty of anti-villains in there that are, like the first one, Meta Knight from the Kirby series. Finding anti-villains after just finding out what they are can kind of be difficult, but Meta Knight and Kirby kind of make it as easy as it possibly can be. There's not a lot of talking that goes on in Kirby games, so non-audio cues mean a lot, mean way more than they would in other genres of video games. And visual cues, like character design, tells a story quickly and precisely. Just look at him. He's the same size and shape as the protagonist, but where Kirby's drawn with a bright color palette, rounded edges, and rounded eyes, Meta Knight is drawn with darker color palette, sharp edges, and mysterious capes and masks covering his face. Now, I know this sounds foolish if you're hearing it for the first time, but let me explain. I promise you, you've seen these different clashes in just character design, not the story, not words, no motives or anything, just character design. You've seen these type of contrasts and juxtapositions before.
This doesn't always have to be with anti-villains, of course, but in this case, character design immediately represents the two characters as fundamentally similar, even though they are rivals with opposing ideals at times. If Meta Knight were much bigger than Kirby and made with softer edges, it wouldn't feel that way. You know how I know? Because that's King DDD. Much different vibe. The visual similarities and differences emphasize their roles as the protagonist's direct opposite, often leading to personal and intense conflicts, making for a great story as seen with these examples.
Spider-Man and Venom, specifically in the manga Gone and Killua. Again, another manga reference because I couldn't think of anything else off the top of my head. It was Vegeta and Goku, and Naruto and Sasuke. And of course, Meta Knight and Kirby. All of these character pairs that I've kind of listed off to you have the same body type, race, or size, and one's drawn with lighter color palettes, one's drawn with darker color palettes, one has rounded eyes to show that they're the happy protagonist, and then one's drawn with sharp edges for eyes because they're meant to look mean. You see it. I'm not crazy. You see it. Circles are good, triangles are bad. That is like 65% a joke. But we get all that just by looking at Meta Knight. What are his actual motives? In the Kirby games, most of the time his motives are either strength, gaining strength, or taking pride in his strength, which are usually characteristics of villains. Oftentimes he code switches in games, like in Kirby Superstars. Almost forgot the name of it. In other games, like Kirby's Nightmare and Dreamland, my personal favorite, is on the GBA, if you haven't played it, and they did add the emulator to the App Store, so I encourage you to play it. Just don't let Nintendo find out. But even in Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland, he works with the protagonist against the nightmare, but also finds a few ways to get a couple licks in on Kirby. But that's the thing. That's the name of the game of being an anti-villain. Sure, he cares about, he's power hungry and prideful, but he doesn't believe in jumping, you know what I'm saying? He equips Kirby with a sword at least before he starts. I mean, like, you know what I mean? He has morals, which makes him the perfect anti-villain. He literally makes sure Kirby's equipped before you even fight him. To start the fight in Nightmare and Dreamland, you have to pick up the sword he gives you before you even get to boxing. Now, the fact that he actually gives you a weapon, I don't know if that's crossing the line between disrespect and valiant, but hey, that's up for the player to decide. Silent protagonist and all. To sum it all up, Meta Knight is one of the most perfect examples of an anti-villain because he's fought Kirby the most by far, but he's also helped Kirby the most by far. So, yeah, I mean, he's straight. Yeah. But remember what I said about anti-heroes being designed and drawn a certain way? Yeah, pause that for a second because I got anti-villain material in sheep's clothing for sure. And his name is Tom Nook, but you might know him from the Animal Crossing games for his Mr. Krabs impersonations. Where Meta Knight is an obvious anti-villain, Tom Nook is a sneaky one, where some people attack you with swords, others attack you with insider trading, monopolization, and embezzlement. I'm like, get a load of this guy. Giving people a house to live in a plot of land, and then also not telling them how much it actually costs until after their first night in their new spot. Then he's also got the nerve to give you the title of Island Representative without giving you the proper respect, the proper pay, or the proper recognition. If you were like me, who came into the Animal Crossing series on New Horizons on the Switch, he was worse in the older games on the DS and the GameCube, Wild West, and I forgot the name of the other one. But that don't matter, because he was an asshole in the other games. And trust me, you don't need to feel sorry for him. His pocket's full. He owns the airport on the island. He owns the dainty town shop that you buy all your stuff from. He owns the real estate agency that houses everybody on the island you're on. Yeah, his pocket's full for real. And I'm pretty sure he owns the museum that you helped put together. And the shop you helped put together. At least in the newer games, you put together the shop. But how is this Monopoly man, Tom Nook, an anti-villain? He just seems like a straight up villain to me. Until you realize that he's not as villainous as real estate businesses are. You were a first-time homeowner in Animal Crossing, and he sold you a house without talking closing costs, interest rates, or down payments. He lets you choose where your house is built, and what else does he do? He lets you choose where your house is built, and he doesn't foreclose your property for missing payments because his mortgage payments don't have due dates. Even though in the older games he will bag on you for not paying off your house or not paying off your dues, I guess he did have a set of moral codes that we didn't see at the time of playing it. It may be in exchange for unpaid labor, double overtime, and no holiday pay, but in this housing market, that's all you could ask for. Now, I know y'all didn't expect me, the Bread Show, to go this whole video without referencing a Pokemon anti-villain, especially not a Pokemon anti-villain that's this good. N from Black and White 2 and Black and White the original. Yeah, that guy, the letter N. He was a great anti-villain. N goes to extreme lengths to liberate Pokemon and claims that Pokemon shouldn't be as attached they are to humans because they force them to breed, force them to fight, force them to be captured and held captive, you know, stuff that kind of makes sense, but we kind of look over at the same time, which is also surprisingly deep for a Nintendo or Game Freak game. Even though in a vacuum, his ideas were benign. It was his extremism and his acts and his radicalism that led him to be manipulated by people in power like Ghetsis to, you know, do some pretty terrible things. Again, a very deep topic to be covered in a Nintendo game, if you think about it. But yeah, at the end of the day, he's kind of aiding and abetting a domestic terrorist group that takes over the Elite Four, which I'm pretty sure is the government in Pokemon games. Is it the government in Pokemon games? I don't know. That could be the next video idea. I found that out. But yeah, anyways, that's the real weird thing about N, is that after, you know, he gets put out like a fraud in the first games, he drops a whole anti-villain thing and just goes straight neutral on foes, like, and then helps the protagonist in Black and White too. So he kind of had his own, you know, Vegeta type of story arc going on there. So I guess the Black and White games were his angsty teen years before he became enlightened. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for sticking this long. If you watch this long, you are guaranteed to like my other content. I have a lot of stuff. Just check it out on the channel. I have a lot of stuff. Just come on, like team me up. Also, pop into the streams. I'll be streaming all the time with the bros. We don't stream Pokemon all the time. We actually don't stream Pokemon at all, but if you want to see me play other types of games like Call of Duty, Warzone, I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Masters, we're gonna be playing Red Dead Redemption, Minecraft, just all types of games other than Pokemon and Nintendo games. Like, yeah, pop into the streams. But thank you for sticking this long. Thank y'all for sticking with me. There's a whole lot of more videos coming, and best believe there's a video coming next week. You know this, Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, New York Standard Time. I don't know where you are, but you'll see the consistency. You'll see the video. Spread love, give inspiration in all you do, and peace out.
Welcome to the Crash Show. Take two.